Hi, it's Polly with Get Busy Thriving. Today's video is about creating new beliefs. And to be honest, what I'm reminded of is as I'm instilling new beliefs in my own life right now, and we're constantly doing that, I would say, because we're constantly influenced by things that are going on around us, whether we know it consciously and deliberately we're creating new beliefs, or subconsciously, or by default, if you will, or being influenced by our outer world, and that's helping reinforce probably pre-existing beliefs. But how beliefs are created is we have an experience and we think a thought, right? And so a thought, either we hear it from the outer world, like rich people are mean, or you can't just do that, you can't just start up your own company, whatever, right? So we get this idea, or we make up something in a moment. And then depending on if it's something that's radically different than our life experience, it may be rejected, right? We're like, no way. But if we know that it's something that we want to begin to believe, right? We want to, let's say we've done an exercise and I've talked about, creating or noticing our limiting beliefs, right? Things that stop us and stump us, right? So what happens is the story we tell ourselves keeps old habits and old, dysfunctional behaviors in place. And we wonder, like, why can't I change this? Why can't I change this? Well, oftentimes the habituated pattern and behavior is held in place by a limiting belief. Like something stops you from making the change because inherently or subconsciously you have a belief in conflict with that new behavior that you want to do. So until you rewire the brain, right? Your brain is like a software system, right? So an operating system. And so it operates based upon old beliefs. So in changing limiting beliefs and instilling new ones, what I wanted to say, and I'm recognizing myself as I'm noticing and working on in a new year, I've got some new beliefs that I want to create. And with that, it's like, I just wanted to share from my experience that it takes a while, right? It's not an overnight thing. There absolutely are times, right? I think a belief can get changed by a traumatic event or something very impactful happening, right? Like something you never believe could happen or you just didn't expect. And then you're like, whoo, that's, and it could be something fantastic, like when Roger Bannister broke the 4-minute mile mark, right? The old belief system kept people until that time. Nobody had ever broken the 4-minute mile. And once he did it, right? Once he did it, then it was possible, right? So something like that can traumatically open up the minds of a society, of a culture, right? Or you could have a specific traumatic event, like you never, let's say you never travel outside of your town or your community or your state, and then you go overseas and you see completely different ways of living and lifestyle. You're like, wow, right? You can be impacted by something like that. Or it could be a traumatic event, like something, really bad happening, let's say, and it impacts you, and then forever after you feel changed, right? But for most of us, without those situations happening, we're installing, or when we're trying to replace our old limiting beliefs with new beliefs, what I want to talk about is that tennis match that goes on inside your mind, right? So it's like this game between you focusing on and creating new awareness and reinforcement for a new belief, and this old conditioned pattern of thought, the one that's maybe been running for 5 years, 10 years, decades for some of us, right? So it will continue to run, and so it will feel like the natural thing that you want to do, right? Because it's a belief that you've held for maybe a very long time. I often talk about it like the grooves on an old vinyl record, right? It's like that player just wants to keep in that old groove, And it's until we pick up that needle, we recognize there is a groove, and then we pick up the needle and we move it to a new place. We start to formulate, we start to form new grooves. We get new neuro associations in our mind, and we create that from experiences, from visualizing, from affirming, right? It's retraining mind and body to see things in a new way. And as we go out into the world, we start looking for that evidence. That's how we begin to go from faith, like if you have no evidence of it in your life or anything, you're trying to create a completely new belief, contrary to one that you've had and you have lots of evidence for. at first, if you try and live by it, it doesn't have any legs like a table. It wobbles, and it's like, well, I would like that to be true, but you have no evidence. So the mind, as you send it out as a mechanism to find evidence for you in the world of people living this way, this being true, wow, there's evidence maybe in studies or what have you, and then your own way of living, right? So you try to live by that new adopted belief, and you get reinforcement or you get feedback, right? So what I wanted to call attention to was that tennis match in your mind is going to go on for a while, right? Your old belief will easily and naturally erupt to the surface. Like, it will be easy to think those thoughts and related thoughts because you've thought it for so long. It has momentum. So it's sort of slowing down the volume, slowing down the intensity, giving less energy to this old thought and this old belief system as you raise the intensity, raise the volume, raise the legs of the table, and find more and more instances of it so you can create a new belief. And what I've been present is listening to and being aware of the two thoughts going on in my head. The old limiting belief that says, oh, but you should watch out, you should protect, those kinds of thoughts, fear-based thoughts, trying to keep me the same, trying to hold me back into security and certainty, which how I've lived my life got me this far, right? So the brain's like, no, this works, right? And me wanting to stretch and grow and say, I can believe in a new possibility. So that ping pong match is normal, and it's you giving more airtime, I think. Or for me, I'll speak from my own experiences, I have to give more airtime. I want to put more focus and more emphasis, spend more time visualizing and looking for evidence and affirming. And it's not that I like say, cancel that old thought. I don't feed it, right? Like, I water what I want to grow, and I just kind of ignore what I want to die off, right? And in the brain, when we don't use parts of our brain, we don't use, memories and things like that, the connections to those things die off as well, right? So if I start to find more and more evidence and I focus on that and I reinforce the new thing that I want, those connections, those neuroassociations, those firing of those systems in my brain will get stronger and louder and more connected. So if I want to recall it, this new belief will begin to come up. So just be aware that it's going to feel a little bit like a ping pong match. Like, you'll be having these dialogues sometimes in your brain, back and forth, and it's being self-aware and choosing what you want to believe and being conscious that, okay, this is an old thought and it's just there because I've thought it before. It doesn't mean I need to believe it or that it's any more true than this new thought. So I hope that would be helpful. As I share from my experience, that's what I'm recognizing and going through in my own new belief creations. I hope that would be helpful for you as well. All right, enjoy.